Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. The importance of having your own place. And this is especially for mostly my younger supporters, mostly for them. But in this day and age, sometimes for some of my older supporters as well. I'm gonna tell you what, the importance of having your own place. And you know what? Yeah, it's related to getting women, but it's also related to your mindset. And this is just something basic every man should have. He needs to have his own nest, his own spot. Because a big issue with many men is they don't have their own spot. Now, I understand if you're going in transition and all of that, you don't have a spot, but you need to work towards it. It changes your mindset. And it needs to be the type of spot that you have control over. This goes beyond even getting someplace you got roommates. See, here's the issue. You can only be so sovereign in a place you got to share with other people. Seriously, you can call yourself sovereign and stuff. And before, in the past, I said, at least have your own room in a rooming house. I'm going to go beyond that, because then you still got to deal with the situation of whoever owns the place. Like I had a friend of mine, a lady, and she had lived for a bit with these two guys. But there was an interesting situation with that. She said the owner of the place didn't allow her to lock her door. Naturally, she had to get out. She didn't have control over that space. See, you want to be in a space, at a minimum, some type of apartment. At a minimum. Not even having a roommate or something. And I'm gonna tell you why. Now, let me be clear though. Let me be clear. If you're not at that place now, there's no shame in that. If you still at home with your parents, there's no, regardless of your age, there's no shame in that. As long as you are working to get your own spot. That's the key. That's the key. Because you need to have it. It changes your whole mindset. When you have a space you control, even in an apartment, as long as you pay your rent, you have control over that basic space. You might have to deal with somebody coming in every now and then, but you have general control over it. It's your space. You can clean it the way you want. It just a little thing, decorating it, having it the way that you want. Because it gives you a sense of control over your life. It's a part of sovereignty. It really is. It's not total sovereignty, because you got some people got their own spot, but they still got to work for other people. Okay, but you want to have that space, your space. Like a week or so ago, I talked about, I've talked about the power of solitude, just being by yourself. That's a perfect place. That place, your space, you can be yourself. You got control. It goes by your rules. It goes by your rules. And there's actually something there that actually does affect how you deal with women. I'll get into it. But the main thing is you get to build. You don't have to, and you get to build. You get to be yourself. See, the problem with living with people, you gotta adjust your personality no matter what. You can call yourself dominant or something, but you're still dealing with this other person. You still got to deal with their nuances. You're not totally free in their presence. You want to be in a spot where you're totally free. You got control. This is your castle. See, one basic thing with men is we all have our boundaries. We all have our boundaries, and we don't want anyone to violate those boundaries. So you have your boundary. That's your boundary right there. Like your basic boundary is about 3 feet. It extends about 3 feet away from your body. That's why some people are ready to fight if you come too close to them. Some men are ready to fight. And indeed, even some women aren't allowed, they ain't really welcome in a man's boundary, but they might have permission to cross or something like that. And indeed, as an aside, I would tell women, you want to be a part of a man's boundary. He will lay out a body for you. So here's the thing though. You have that space. You can decorate it the way you want, live the way you want. Shit, you walk around your own place naked if you want, wear whatever. depending on the building, smoking there, whatever you want to do, because it's your place. It's your space. It's your sanctuary against everything else in the world. No matter what. Yeah, you got to deal with other people and stuff, but then once they're in your space, this is it. Now, even dealing with women, right? Even dealing with women. Women behave a certain way when they're in a man's space and he behaves totally dominant. Like, this is what you got to do. You know, you got to take your shoes off. Or even if you let them keep their shoes on, it's only because you allow it. It was like, no, you can't sit there. No, you can't do that here. No, you can get out. It makes a big difference. Because if you're in a situation, because you do have some guys who, you know, they dealing with the woman, you know, going over to her spot and all that. Yeah, it can be all right sometimes. It can be all right. But when she dismisses you, you got to go. Ultimately. You know, if you go over there and she say, no, you don't do this, you don't do that, that's totally into her. But see, when a woman comes over to your place, one, your dominant space, you're the king. You can act any way you want there. It affects her because it brings out the woman in her. Women on a deep level, even though they consider submission a dirty word, they really want to submit. Because the feminine energy is passive, so they want to bring it out. They want to be in a position where they got to deal with you on your terms. So it's very important to have that. Indeed, that's why you will get some women, they'll skip over the guy who might be so handsome and stuff, but he living with somebody, and not all the time, of course, but they might skip over him for the guy who got control over his own space. Because here's the thing, that even helps you in the world, because once you have it in your mind that you have control over space, you're sovereign in a space, it's still going to affect how you deal with everybody else in the other world. Because you ain't going to just turn it off as soon as you walk out your door. You still going to keep it. You still going to keep that walk. You still going to have that feeling of dominance, just knowing you just have that corner of the world you have control over. You know, there was a Muslim brother who owned a bookstore in the DC area. You know, peace be unto him. He passed away. He said every man needs his territory. That's your territory right there as a man. It gives you that feeling like, yeah, I control this. I decorated it the way I wanted to decorate it. You know, I got a couch this type because I wanted it. You know, I make my bed or don't make my bed because I want to. I got these type of dishes and I cook these foods because I want to. Psychologically, that really affects a man. See, one of the issues I see out here just in general with men, not just dealing with women, too many men feel like victims. Too many men feel like they just have to follow along. They're not assertive enough. They're not aggressive enough. You know? Indeed, some men even have problems with somebody like me even saying that, but they're not. They're not. You know, and it reflects in everything. I remember I was doing a seminar, and it was a crowded seminar. It was in the DC area. It had a lot of mainly young black professionals. And there was one, he just wasn't assertive. He wasn't assertive. And I could tell how he was talking, because he was on that nice guy thing, not being assertive. And I'm gonna be real, I almost was gonna like prod him. I was gonna like say something to him to make him be ready to fight, just to get it out of him. But I could tell he probably had some other things. He didn't have that, that sovereign mindset. And there's a lot of guys like that. But if you have just the simple matter of having your own spot, does wonders. If you're allowed to, because unfortunately there's some guys that got their own spot. Shoot, they got houses, own the houses, and still got issues. They haven't transferred that sovereign nature enough to get their own house. Seriously, buy their own house, own it. Shoot, probably not even a bank got a piece. They own it outright. They haven't transferred it into other areas of life. So you understand something? All areas of life are holistic. So if you can do something in one area, you can do it in another. If you can be dominant, assertive, aggressive to get your own spot and fix it the way you want, you can do that same thing with women. You can do that same thing in advancing your career. You can do that same thing in running a business. That's the very important thing. That's the very important thing. So that's the thing. And like I said, it's just basic. You don't have to own the place, because most people don't. Even people buying a home, they still don't technically own it. So, but you got control over it. You want to be in a position where you got leverage. You know, because the thing is, you don't have your own spot. You still living at home with the parents. Whose rules you gonna go by? No matter what you're doing, that's still their place. You got roommates. You can only go so far. You living in some home or something, even with somebody else, you still got to ultimately go by their rules. So this is very important. You want to be in a position, every man needs that time of sovereignty, every single man, that he can really understand things. So anyway, y'all, that's all I have for now. Get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.